Hello,
Hey,
hello, everybody. Hi, how are you doing, Samantha?
I'm good. How are you?
I am excited about what? Testimony Tuesday. So if you guys
Yay.
give us a minute, let us be in to log in, get what we need to get, and you guys come on in the room. As people say, come on in the room, come on
Come
in the
on in.
room.
Come in, come in, come in.
Yes. Why? Because we are excited about Testimony Tuesday. Yay! So
Yes,
come in the room,
yes.
share as often as you can and as often as you like.
I'm checking right now. All I'm doing, I'm just making sure that I'm sharing it now that we got started.
Me too.
Okay. Okay.
And also, you could catch us on YouTube as well. My YouTube page, I want to say it's Latisha Live now.
And it's also on mine as Samantha Jade Minor. And then you can also catch us on my Instagram live, Samantha Jade Minor. Samantha Jade Minor everywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now I'm trying to figure out how to. Well, I tell you, technology is good and sometimes it makes you weary, but it's good. So
Hmm.
it looks like I froze up on mine. Hold on. Let me see. Absolutely.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. Okay, so today is Testimony Tuesday, and the reason we want to do when miracles speak, right? Testimonies is because a lot of times when you're in the midst of turmoil, when you're in the midst of trials, you begin to lose hope, you begin to lose faith. Many of you say if it's not one thing, it's another. Again, you have to watch your verbiage, watch
Oh,
what you say, what comes
yes.
out your mouth, and what you're manifesting, right? The doubt, the fear, the frustration, all of that will have you regurgitating things that you should not be regurgitating. So when miracles speak, we want to give testimonies because again, miracles happen every day. They're around us
Every
all
day.
the time. But sometimes we become so numb to it because life is like busting you up. Just bam, bam,
Mm.
just hitting your heart. And you fighting like this. You're not even aiming at nothing. You just swinging because it's like you feel like you're not getting a breath. You feel like you don't have nothing to look forward to because sometimes how you doing, Rose? Sometimes things seem more negative than good. So we decided to come together and say, hey, let's discuss our testimonies because we're
Yes.
miracles together. Samantha is a cancer thriver.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So looking at her, you will not know that technically it's still up in there trying to do what it do. But this miracle is standing on God. That's evident that in spite of what they say, she already know what he say. Right.
God has the
And
final
so
say so.
literally the tumor, you guys know the tumor is dead, but it was swelling, right? But it does not stop life from life, right? Samantha got her diagnosis. She know what they're saying, but she's believing what God's saying. And in the midst of that, testimonies are manifesting in our lives.
Come
So as
on.
testimonies manifest in our lives, we decided, you know what? Let's not just simply encourage the people, right? Let's empower the people because we're about making sure that you have tools, resources, and a strategic plan of action. So that way, in spite of what it looks like, you can remember, you know what, Tisha and Samantha was on that dog on Facebook talking about this stuff happened. So Samantha, you want to go first? Like which introduce yourself so everybody get to know you, Samantha.
All right, so I am Samantha Miner, and I own the company Devoted to Her, where we focus on women's health and wellness, not just like the physical health and wellness, but our emotional wellness, our mental state, all of it, because you can't have one without the other. If you're suffering in one area, if you're suffering mentally, then what's going to happen? Everything else is going to fall under that. Your physical health is going to start messing up, just everything. So Devoted to Her is focused on the woman as a whole. Um, I know that you're asking if I want to go first, and I know that we had originally talked about our testimonies, which are very similar,
Right.
things that have happened to us recently. But you text me today, and I told you, I said, "Oh, that's another testimony." So I actually I want you to start with the testimony you texted me today.
Okay, well, we'll do that. As many of you know, today is my 14th anniversary, right? 14 years, me and my husband have been married. But also, today marks 1 year from the day that I started radiation. So last year, this time, I was checking into the Dure Inn or hotel in Gainesville because I had to start radiation the very next day. Right.
Mm.
And so again, that's a testimony. That's God's way of saying, in spite of how it started, that's not how it got to end. Like last year, my hair, I had the dreads and everything, and it was just kind of like I was going into an unknown. I was having a fresh start into something I had never been in before. Like it wasn't a start over. I had never been in radiation. So I didn't
Mm.
know what to expect. And it wasn't just me going one time. I did this for almost 4 weeks, twice a day, 5 days a week. And I'm sitting there and unaware of what's next, what's happening, not sure if the tumor is dying, don't know what's going on. And you know how you might. Oh, and another thing is when you get, like, if it's anything that has to do with your head, they put this mask over your face.
Mm.
So the very first day I had like a panic attack and I was like, this ain't gonna
Oh,
work. They had to give me some drugs, right? Because I was like, I don't like this. Like, what's going on? And you
right.
can't move. You got to sit still, right?
Mm.
And so I started thinking on that today, that as me and my husband woke up together for our 14th year anniversary,
Come on now.
I last year, I don't even remember. I just remember us preparing to go to the hotel, preparing for this next stage. And then this morning,
Whew.
and
I
then
love
and
it.
then if I talk about that, then that's gonna lead into the other testimony. But this morning, when we woke up and I'm looking at the man that I love, that me and him just went through some storms.
Yes.
We
Come
have been
on.
going through since the beginning of 2023, and life has been sending trials and tribulation, but God. See, that's the part I like. That's that, but God. I
But
love
God.
that, but God situation, because sometimes we forget the but God. Like you will dwell on, oh, you had the tumor, oh, you had the surgery, look, your mouth shifted. Yeah, but God. Because
And see, that's
they,
the thing,
mhm,
because you were talking about in the beginning about how sometimes we're just blind to the miracles. And
mhm.
we we were on the phone a lot last week
Yeah.
because I was going through it. But here's the thing, you know, when we need healing in certain areas, and usually it's the heart, it's your heart posture. When you can't fully grasp the miracles, the great things in everyday life, then you have to take a step back and you have to look, what all these good things are happening, but how come I can't enjoy them? Then it's the heart.
It's the heart. The
That's
heart
what
is
it is.
injured,
The heart is injured,
and the
you
heart is
know,
wounded.
it's a soul wound, right?
Right.
And
And it's hard
so,
to appreciate the miracle, right? Because you
yes.
don't realize that it's a fresh start. Like, don't be like, I lost so many things last year. Some of you
Mhm.
did lose some stuff because you wouldn't let it go.
Yeah.
Because God was trying to get you to willingly release it.
Mm.
But here you is tug of war with God. You trying to
Yeah.
hold on to something and rebuking the devil all at the same time. And God is like, it's me. It's not the devil. And
Yeah, like let
you
go.
gave me this. God
Let
gave me
go.
this. I know this
Right.
God. And God is like, just release it. Like, why are we playing tug of war with God? Right?
Mm.
When there's no need to do any of that,
No.
because the promise is ours. He's a promise keeper. Whatever he said, he will do and perform just that. His word will never return unto him void. But how do you keep your head up? How do you get your heart posture correct when life is straight up busting you in the head? Right? When life is doing what it does. And how do you keep getting up? And I always refer to the Mario Brothers game, because we all used to play Mario Brothers,
I
right?
still
And
play
so
Mario.
listen, and so you know how in the beginning of the game, it's like da, 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 and
Yep.
you're going through and you're hitting the bricks with your head, and sometimes you get the firepower, sometimes you don't. Sometimes the monster make you lose your little power, and now
Mm.
you got to start over, right? So you got
Yep.
to start from where you started. But then after a while, you get good at Mario, and now you don't went far enough that you don't have to start from the beginning. You can start
Ooh.
from a new section,
Mm.
right? But what happens when you make it all the way to the end? Now, it don't mean the trial stop when you
Mm-hmm.
get to the new section. It just means that's a fresh start. You're not having to start over what you already been through. See, some of y'all keep talking about I had to start over. You didn't.
No. No.
We released a lot of things last year. So I'm just going to my testimony and then you can go
Come
into
on
yours,
now.
Samantha,
Yep.
right? So we released a lot of things last year. Last year we had to move from Tallahassee because our rent had went up, right? So our rent went up to like, let's just say $1,400, right? And we lost an income. I had to release the income. So it
Yeah.
was no longer two income. So this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home.
But I like how
Right?
you said that. I like how you said that you didn't lose an income, you released it.
I released an income, right? Because there's a difference.
Yeah.
So we 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. After I was finished with all my radiation treatment, we had to move in with my mom. This is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath home, 7 people, 5 dudes, 2 girls. And we all in this house together.
Mm.
I never wondered what I was going to eat. I never had to worry if the lights was going to be on or off. God provided. He provides for those, right? He kept his word. He told me, if the birds not worrying about what they're going to eat, why is you stressing? And some of you complain in your holding season.
What's the
You're
holding season?
complaining.
Tell us what that is.
You complaining and he's sustaining you because it ain't what you want. You got a house to stay in. It might not be the house you want, but you got somewhere to stay. The lights on, the water is on, and you're eating good because you're gaining weight. But yet you're complaining while he's sustaining. And so you're wondering why nothing is coming right. You're wondering why you're struggling. It's because you won't release him trying to take you to the next level. You won't release, you want to hold on to what you had because of the status, because of what it looked like. Did I want to move my whole family back in with my mom and my stepdad? No, I did not. But I released my home in Tallahassee. And we weren't murmuring and complaining. Now, I'm not going to lie and say it was not days I was like, Father, wait a minute now. It ain't but one bathroom in here. Wait a minute, right? And my mother, like, she made sure that we ain't lack nothing. Within that time frame for like 30 days, my husband didn't even have a job. But yet God still provided. We never lacked because we learned how to be content in the season of sustaining. Wow. Learning not to complain, because some of y'all still in that season because you keep complaining. You refuse to see God in the situation because it don't look like what you want it to look like. In that moment, in that time, I need to be with my mom. My husband could take care of me really good, but he ain't my mama. Right? Nobody know how to love you like how your mama love you. It's just a different type of understanding. In that time, we were just like not really looking for a place to stay. Nothing like that. We were just content in our moment that God was sustaining us. He never failed. See, sometimes we stay in these things longer because of this, because our mouth, because our tongue, and because of our lack of belief in God's process.
Ooh,
so now
because God is a God of order.
Because you still sitting there like, I mean, I know God got something better for me. No, he might, but you're not gonna get it.
No, but not with that mouth.
Not with, there you go. Not with that mouth. And you still holding on to this. Like every time somebody asks you, well, girl, that's what you say. This is why I stayed, girl, but the enemy came up against my other house. So that's why I'm over here. Or this child is just a temporary car because the enemy took my car. I mean, be honest. You weren't paying the bills like you should if you just be honest. But maybe life happened. Maybe life hit you, right? But because learn how to say, I released it. Common sense said we were not going to be able to sustain, but we were staying on one income. Right. That was going to put my husband in more strain. And again, none of us knew what was going to happen after the radiation. Again, we're still shifting through life. So no, we didn't have to start over. This is a fresh start with all of us in this house, this 3-bedroom house, 1 bathroom, 7. I'm putting this up because I need y'all to understand 7 people, 5 dudes and 2 girls. Yeah. But God provided. Nobody lacked. We learned how to do what we had to do. You know, during the day when my mom was at the restaurant and stuff like that, like God was working it out. And then the closer it got, see, many people didn't even know that the closer we were getting into the new year, I went into a deep depression. But nobody knew that. As a matter of fact, nobody, including me, really understood that I had went into a deep depression.
You kept it from yourself.
I'm posting on Facebook, right? Encouraging people, putting pictures up, really good pictures, and getting on Facebook and can't even get out of bed.
Mm.
laying in the bed,
Now, as you
struggling.
were posting those pictures, as you're posting those updates, because I'm telling you, sometimes I'll go to your Facebook page and I'm just like, she probably busy. I'm not gonna bother her. Let me just go see what she posted on Facebook. Let me feed off of this. So as you were posting, did that help you at all? Did it lift your spirits at all?
In that moment. In the
For
moment when I like,
just that
and
moment,
again,
huh?
that's when, but the Samantha, the truth is that's when I understood that a lot of things that we do, especially as his miracles, is never in our own strength. Never.
Come
I was
on.
never in my own strength. Even now, when I stand, when I speak, when I talk, it's never in my own strength. Because in my own strength will fail me.
Oh, always, always.
So in those moments, like when I was doing it, oh, I felt good. Like again, because again, I'm encouraging. That's what I do. That's my purpose. That's my thing. But baby, when I be done got off that thing, I'm still laying in the bed, talking about
Mm,
I'm dizzy, worrying about having to go to another doctor's appointment. You know what I'm saying? Because they had lined me up for January, the beginning of January. I had so many doctor's appointments. And that's when me and God had a conversation.
mm,
And I said, I'm not going to let nobody else tell me nothing else and say, oh, it's good, but
mm.
I'm not doing that. So I made the decision that I'm
Okay.
not going back until November the 2nd to see what's going on, right? But in the midst of me making that decision, again, that's that faith walk. That's that Peter got out the boat, right? Because he was like, I'm going to get out here because Jesus told me to come. So I'm
Yep.
coming, right?
Yep.
And what I'm telling myself is, Tisha, don't look at the waves.
Right, right. And
And
you
I'm
know
staying
what?
out there.
While you know what I just thought as you said that, don't look at the waves. Because with the disciples, the waves were all over the place. They're in the boat. What did the disciples sound like in the background to Peter while he was walking on the water?
Girl, they probably was like, bruh, come back. Don't do it. Like that's why I don't tell a lot of people that I chose not to go back because then they'll be the one saying, "Don't. Why would you do that? I mean, how you gonna know? I'm gonna know the same way the woman with the issue of blood knew that when he touched her immediately, she was made whole. That's how I'm gonna know. That's how I'm gonna know. And
Yep.
so, learning the process, Samantha, like through that time, that's how we and you met. We had met last year, and through that time, we just started encouraging
It,
each other,
was
right?
it last year or what? No, it was this year. We met in January.
Oh my God, Samantha, and I declare it seemed like it was last year, but it was this year. You're absolutely correct. And because he knew, see, that's the thing. God will never leave you, never forsake you. He knew what we needed, right? He knew you needed somebody to encourage you because you already empowered. You already got the tools. Sometimes you just need somebody to say, Samantha, you got it. And I needed the same thing because I already had the tools, but I needed the encouragement. And sometimes because we constantly pour, you need somebody in your life, especially when you're going through some things and you and
Yep.
God is like you just trying to figure out God. You need somebody who know how to pour back into
Yep.
you. So when
Yep.
you get off the phone, like when I get off the phone with Samantha, I never get off the phone tired and drained. Some of y'all wondering why you get off the phone with your friends and you drained and you tired and you feel like you
Oh.
thirsty.
Mm.
That's because they don't took everything from you
You
because you're
poured.
still pouring.
Yes.
And I can't keep pouring like that and healing at the same time. That's not how this works. So I have to know how to release when it's time for me to release and then retain when I need to retain. It's a process. And so as me and Samantha, we was going through it. I spoke at her event. We just God is really. And then when we start talking, when she tell you her testimony, you're gonna see like, man, because God is right now in this season in our lives. He's ready for the miracles, the signs, and the wonders. The question is, are
Yes.
you ready? How long
Mm.
are you gonna talk about what it was like and learn to talk like what it is like now in the
He's
present?
looking he's looking for willing vessels.
That part. It's
That's really
again
what it
what they
is.
say, the harvest is right, but the laborers are few.
Yeah.
Everybody want him on their mouth, but nobody want him in their heart. Because when he get in here, correction comes,
Yeah.
obedience comes. You learn not to tussle with God and to release it. Because the quicker you release it, the quicker he can release what he want to release to you. Many of
Mm.
you don't know this. I had closed my business. Samantha know. God told me to. He literally, as all this stuff was happening.
Well, get tell that part after you give the testimony, and then
Okay,
because I feel like that came because of the
of this.
testimony.
You're
Yep.
right. So fast forward, me and my mom and my husband, we decide, hey, we need to find somewhere bigger because again, it's just one bathroom in this house with all these people. So we started looking for a place to stay, and I'm looking for something big enough for me, my mom, and my kids and my husband. And that wasn't really happening. Rent wasn't gonna be cheap. Again, it's gonna be at least $2,500. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really stressing because my mama got her restaurant, my husband got his business, and but we live at there was this housing community. I thought they were duplexes, which I never want to do duplexes or apartments ever again, right? Because that's what we did in Tallahassee. So I don't even know why I picked it, but God. So I clicked it and I go make the appointment and I go meet the lady. And actually, and her name was Stephanie. And Stephanie said, "Hey, Latisha, I'm telling Stephanie my story, what's going on, this, that, and the third." Stephanie said, "Okay, Latisha, this is the rent. Because of the house that we picked, the rent is like $2,600." And I'm thinking, okay, that's good. Because, again, it's my husband and my mama, so I ain't worried about that. But there's stairs. And my husband, and my mom and my stepdad is not for to climb no stairs. So then I look at the 5-bedroom and I'm realizing that my mother's bed ain't even gonna fit in there. So I call my mom and I'm walking through and I'm showing her and I said, "Well, mommy, the 3-bedroom, but it's not big enough for all of us." And she said, "Okay." I called my husband. I said, "My mom ain't sound interested." He said, "Tisha, because did she say she wanted to move with us?" Right? And my little feelings was so hurt because I had got content. Again, my mama is my safety net.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's there. And I'm just like, well, no, she didn't. And he said, okay. And my husband literally said, "Tisha, we're gonna be okay." I didn't even realize that in the midst of me looking for the place, I was still trying to secure it my way, right?
Your
Trying to
way.
make sure that the rent would be covered the way I wanted it to be. You know what I'm saying? Like my secure
But
net.
you didn't check with your mama or God.
No, girl, I ain't having a conversation with neither one of them. Neither one of them. Nobody. My mom, she just seemed so uninterested. When I was like showing her stuff, I said, "Why is she acting like this?"
Because you wanted her to move. That
I
lady didn't say.
did. I really did. I wanted my mom to go with me because again, that's that safety net, that security. It ain't like this ain't all on my husband. And I'm remembering last year. Because again, last year on my husband's salary, there was no way we was gonna be able to pay these $1,400.
Right.
Not a zilch, zero. So now I'm thinking, how are we gonna do this on his one income? So the lady go to run our credit. Oh, did I mention that last year our credit took a dive, baby? We was living on credit cards, right? So Capital One, I love them. Let me send a shout out to Capital One because baby, Capital One worked with me. Okay, I said, listen, if you need the papers to see that I really did have brain surgery, they worked with me. So as they let me pay $25 a month. Do you hear me? They was like, they ain't shut them down. On one of them, they closed it down for 9 months, which is fine with me because I ain't need to use it anyways, right?
Right.
And it was building up my credit and my husband's credit. And then my husband was getting even more and more favor on his job, right? He does PRN, he's a PTA, so he's able to go to different facilities. So again, we back at this 2639. So I'm like, oh my God.
Ooh, not the, I didn't know about the 39. I knew the 26.
2639. So I say, okay, babe. So he said, "I trust your judgment, Tisha. Just fill out the application. Just do it. We just gonna do it." And when my husband speak like that, I declare, God tell my husband, say less.
Come on,
My
man of God.
say, literally, my husband could say I'm tired, or he could say, "You know what, God, I want to look for another job." No lie, emails from other employers will show up in his email. Again, say less, right? So I said, "Okay, babe, I fill it out. Now this thing, your deposit could be $500 or $5,000, right?" So fear is talking. She said, "Girl, I know you is not gonna fill out this application because y'all about to be hitting these $5,000, right?"
Right.
So I was like, "Oh my God, like, okay, God, what we gonna do?" So I did it. I signed it and I had to release it. Like I couldn't dwell on it. I filled it out.
Were you sweating? Were you just like, take it?
I'm sweating. And then you do it online. So you gotta hit submit. So then my son, because he's 18, so he had to submit one. And then my husband. So again, I'm doing everything for everybody, right? Because my husband at work. And so I'm like, oh my Lord, how this gonna look? Okay, what's gonna happen? Now, I don't even think it was 3 days. I think within 24 hours, we knew we were approved for the house.
Ooh.
This is a brand new house. Nobody ever lived in. It's 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, upstairs and downstairs.
How
That
many
is
bathrooms, friend? How many bathrooms?
2.5. And my bathroom looks like a small bathroom with 2 closets, right?
Won't he do it?
Won't he do it, Samantha? And he did it, and he did it, and he did it. And then we didn't have to pay the $5,000 that fear was telling me we was gonna have
How
to pay.
much did you have to pay?
The deposit we qualified for was $500. Oh, and we didn't even have to pay that because they said you qualify some kind of program, so y'all just gonna pay $28 a month. And when I added that up to the end of our lease, that came to $300 some dollars. I say, look at God, Samantha. Last year there was no way we was gonna be able to do it, but we had to release our will so that God's will could be done. So we went from staying with my mama, 3 bedroom, 1 bath. Say that again, 1 bath, seven people,
Seven people.
7 people, to a 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath, 5 people. My boys have their own bathroom. I have my own bathroom. Well, me and my husband, right?
It's yours. It's yours.
I know. And we got a guest bathroom downstairs. In the midst of all that, we also got a new car. So
Come
we
on.
still got our van that is completely paid off. And we went and got us a Honda Pilot. Because my husband told God, because oh my God, Samantha, it's just so much. Because my husband was driving my mom's car, which was a Lincoln, that old kind Lincoln. And the AC didn't work. And neither did the windows work on the right side. On the driver's side, that one didn't come down, honey. And when it had started to get hot, as we went into the summertime, my husband would come home drained, like he ran track or something, because it was too hot. Him and God had a conversation. On a Saturday, we went to Ocala. My husband said, "There's nothing on this lot that I want, Tisha." I said, "Well, okay." Well, we made other plans. That's me. Mom said we could keep the car until, and my husband was hot, and I was like, God, my husband really be hot, but he's not complaining. Because we are appreciating that God had us in this moment where he was sustaining us. My husband went on the car lot. He saw the one he wanted. He knew that was it. He said, "Babe, what you think?" I said, "It's big enough for all of us." And we drove off the lot. Now it took us, if you ever went and got a car, you already know that's like all day, just going to prepare all day. But they running credit, they doing all this stuff. Then the deposit, just things we had to put down. And God was laying everything in order. There was no stress, but they become stressed when you're trying to hold on instead of just releasing and allowing him to have his will and his way. You can't outgive God, and you can't beat God given. So stop trying. And that's a little bit. We'll go to the next one later. But Samantha, I want you to tell everybody your testimony. So again, because I don't know who out there, I don't know who listening, and you all believe in God for something. And then man's way of doing it, right? Your credit, right? Man's way of doing stuff. You might be in a situation right now, you feel like you're being held back. No, God is sustaining you. So start working on your credit, the things that you can do. Start working on your mouth and your thought processes. Because baby, I had to rebuke myself a couple of times. I was like, girl, don't let your thoughts hinder your blessings. Don't let your words hinder your blessings. Don't let your anger hinder your blessings. And please don't let your understanding hinder your blessings, because when we don't understand some stuff, the first person we start rebuking is the devil. And the whole time it's been God. The whole time.
Yes. You know what? And it's the renewing of the mind, which is so important.
Daily.
Because once you get this somewhat under control, because then you get your mouth under control.
Yep.
And that's the thing for me, because I always knew, like, hold on, this right here is powerful. And I think I told you before, I used to use it in the wrong way. Like, I would spew some nasty stuff. Like, I was, people look at me now, they're like, you? Like, me. But so with me, so the house that we lived in since 2000, I don't know, 8 years, 8 years. And my kids and I, my ex-husband, we had all lived there, right? And so basically I already gave it away. I said lived, past tense, so gave that away. But basically what happened was I lived, I'm gonna say Tampa. It was Tampa. Basically, the next light up was Tampa. Um, was living in this house in Tampa for quite some time, but so much had happened in that house. It's where I got the cancer diagnosis, both of them. It's where my ex-husband and I fought like cats and dogs. Like I constantly had said, like there is pain in the walls. You know what I mean? So much had happened there. And but even with that, there's comfort in dysfunction. There's
Mm-hmm.
familiarity in dysfunction. And so we had been there for so long, things were falling apart in the house. I didn't want to be there, but there was a level of comfortability there, right? And so in January when I met you, I'm going to try and keep this short. I was introduced to like a new community in Lakeland, and I started doing things in Lakeland. I had the Women's Health and Wellness Expo there. I was just doing different things around the city and just really getting to know people. And then I got introduced to a church in Lakeland, and it got to the point where I'm like, I think God wants us to move, but I'm still comfortable where I'm at. It may be kind of chaos, but I know things. I know the area. I know the people at the grocery store. I've been shopping at the same store for years. I knew my neighbors, everything. And so finally, as God kept giving me more and more opportunities in Lakeland, I was like, am I supposed to move to Lakeland? I asked God the question. And it felt like he was saying yes, but I wasn't sure. So some more things were happening, more opportunities were coming. And so I said, okay, Lord, I need confirmation. And God works quick. When he wants us to do something and we ask for that confirmation, he's going to give it so quick because he wants it done. And so when he told me yes and he gave me confirmation, I said, okay, well, I don't have the money to move. I have 7 children. I have 2 sets. The older 5 are by one father, the younger 2 are by my ex-husband. And neither one of them were helping. Neither one of them. So it's me. It's me and God. I tell everyone all the time, it was me and God. And so I'm just like, I don't have the money to move. I don't know where we're moving in Lakeland. I don't know any of that, right? And so I'm praying, and God is telling me to pack. I'm like, you want me to do what? I said, okay. Oh, you know what? Let me back up. I was in the middle of when I first wanted to move, it was probably around November of last year. And I was doing a fast. And I was like, you know what? I believe it's time for us. It came over me so heavy during this fast that we were supposed to move. I said, I'm going to do a prophetic act. I had this pretty purple couch that I had in my bedroom for the longest time, but I was tired of it. It just gave me bad memories and everything. So out of frustration and desperation, I dragged this couch outside by myself and put it on the curb. My kids looked at me. They're like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yep, I'm fine. It's between me and God. Leave me alone. I got it. I got it. I got it." And so I was like, "Lord, this is me showing you that I believe it's time to move." Dragged it out. Fast forward, so God is telling me in March that I need to start packing. So I'd pack a box and I'd pray, God, are you sure? He was silent. So I said, okay. So I just kept packing, but then I kept asking, are you sure? Are you sure? And I wasn't hearing him anymore. And so then I decided, I was like, okay, I talked to a friend, and she's like, well, are you sure that's what God wants? And I was like, I ain't telling nobody else. Let me just stay focused. Cause like I said, when Peter was out on that water, and the disciples are back there, who knows what they're back there saying, because we don't know the whole situation. He could have been out there looking at Jesus and still getting frustrated by the waves and everything, but we don't know what he heard behind him. So that's what was going on. So I was like, you know what, I think I told 2 other people and they were on board. They're like, Sam, if you think you heard from God, then we're all for it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to keep quiet, keep my head down. I'm just going to pack the house. I told I have 3 kids in the house with me. One just turned 19 yesterday. And I'm telling her that God said we're gonna move. She's upset because she had her best friend live 4 minutes down the street one way, her boyfriend lived 4 minutes down the street the other way. She didn't want to move. She was
Mm.
perfectly happy and she had no reason to want to move, you know. And so I'm just like this. So I gave it to God. So one day I came home from work and she had the day off, and I go in her room to pop in and say hi. Her room was packed. I said, "What you in here doing?" She said, "You said God said we moving, so I guess we're moving." So she
Well, two or three are gathered in His name, honey. He gonna be in the midst.
look, God was working on that heart. And so I'm just like, okay, Lord. And then on to, so now comes the small doctor's office I worked in was closing for 2 weeks because she was going on vacation. So I'm like, oh, now I'm not only do I not know where I'm going to move, how I'm going to move with what money, but now I'm not going to get a paycheck for 2 weeks.
Ooh, the trying of your faith.
Whoa, say it again. So I sat down and I asked God leading up to these 2 weeks off, Lord, what do you want me to do while I'm off for 2 weeks? So now he's talking to me again. He said, I told you to pack. So a friend of mine came over the day after the vacation started. I can't even call it a vacation because it was unwillingly. It was unwilling. And so we're standing in my driveway as she's about to leave. And I'm talking to her. And I know I want to complain and fuss and all of that, but as she's giving me ideas of what I could do for these 2 weeks, and I was like, I appreciate all that. I was like, but I think I'm just going to listen to God on this one. So the next day, so a lot of people don't know, I make candles. And so I had a candle delivery to drop off in Lakeland the next day. And at this point, like my knees are hurting because I'm driving back and forth. Now I'm going to Lakeland for all of the community stuff that I'm doing for different business things. And now I found a church in Lakeland. So now I'm driving out there to go to church. And some days I'm driving out 2 times in one day at this point. So like my body is tired. I'm exhausted. Gas is expensive. So I'm like, okay, let me go ahead, and I'll never forget, it was a $72 candle order that I had to drop off the next day. So I'm like, okay, instead of putting these $72 back into the business, I'm gonna spend it on the kids. I'm gonna take them to the movies. I'm gonna do something, right? Because they've been asking to do stuff. And here's the interesting thing, Latisha. I'm chasing this $72, right? It's what I call it. I'm chasing this $72. I get to where I'm going to drop off the candle order, and there's a co-working space in downtown that I work out of. And I was planning on setting up and working for the day since I was already there. And I was about to take out my laptop, but the Holy Spirit said, no, take out your phone. So I'm like, why am I going to take out my phone? And I hear it so clearly, check your email. I'm like, I could do that. Look, I'm the one. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back and forth with you for a minute. But why do I have to do it here? Why can't I do it here? I take out my phone. I go to my email. I had, now mind you, I told you I have 2 sets of kids. The 2 kids with the ex-husband, the 5, which all the 5 older ones are all adults. Okay. I check my email. It says there's been a deposit in my account. The deposit that's in my account is a child support payment from the older kid's father, who has not paid child support in years. But the last time I want to say it was like 2020.
Look at God. Look at God.
I literally had to fight back tears. So it's a good thing I didn't unpack and set up for the day, because I would have been sitting there crying my eyes out while I'm trying to pack up my laptop, because there's no way that I could work at this point. Now I'm going home and I'm going to finish that packing that God told me to do. But not only that, here's the thing though. So now my next dilemma was like, okay, because much like your situation with the credit, my credit with all the stuff that I went through, and my credit was shot, right? So, and then because my daughter was technically, she's an adult, she's 18 when we're looking for houses. So they had to run her credit too. She had no credit. And so I sat down and I talked to God. I was like, look, Lord, I know that the house is coming because first of all, you told me you were moving. The money came out of nowhere, right? Literally out of nowhere, from something I didn't even consider to be a source, or should I say resource.
Right.
So I'm just like, okay, Lord, how do I know which house it's going to be without spending money on a bunch of application fees? And as I sat in prayer, he gave me one word. The word was yellow. I said, okay. Is the house gonna be yellow, Lord? Is the person that's gonna show the house gonna be yellow, Lord? Yellow? Really? Really? I was like, you can't give me some more?
Is that the name of the street? Is the street
Girl,
called Yellow?
look, I'm even to the point I'm thinking all kind of crazy stuff, right? So I continue to look for houses and everything. And so I come across this one that a particular part of the house was yellow, and I was like, I don't think that's the house. It needs some work. And so I'm like, but the yard is beautiful, and I was like, that's not the one. So I go to look at this other house, and driving up to the house, I passed a yellow building. I said, that's the one. That's gotta be the one. That's gotta be the one. This house is beautiful. Oh man, it's this one, it's this one. And I asked someone about that particular neighborhood, and they're like, it ain't the best. And I was like, but the house is pretty. And they're like, it's not the best, you know. So I'm like, no, I don't care what you say. It's the one. I passed a yellow building on the way here, right around the corner. It's it. It's it. It's it. Now that I'm saying it, it's so foolish because it was what I wanted, right?
There you go.
And so I applied for it, and we weren't even we weren't even done uploading our information. I got an email that said denied. I said, but Lord, it was a yellow building.
You didn't even finish uploading information and they denied you?
When I tell you, we were still uploading pay stubs. That thing said denied. I said,
so Lord. I guess that wasn't the house then. I guess that was not
it wasn't the house. That wasn't the house. So I was like, so I ended up, because the other house that it had a yellow room in it, and I was like, okay, there's things I liked about the house. My daughter hated the house, and it was just back and forth. So I had texted the man, I texted the owner, and was like, hey, I had to humble myself. He's like, but I thought you didn't want the house. And I was like, well, I mean, you know, some things need to be worked on it or whatever. And so he's like, well, actually, it's good timing because someone else was supposed to get the house, and they had to back out because they got military orders to go to Texas. And so I was like, well, I'm gonna bring because I had came to look at the house. I was okay with the house, but my daughter hated it. And there, like I said, there's work that needed to be done on it. And so I get her, and she begrudgingly was like, I'll go with you. I'll go with you. Girl, come on. And she came in. I'm talking to the owner and talking to his daughter and everything. We're walking around the house. I'm like, dang, it's bigger than I thought. And I'm walking around, and the yard is huge. I garden, and so I told God, like, I really wanted a big yard. And the funny thing is, she's walking around the house. My daughter's walking around the house, and then she comes up to me, and she looked. Now, mind you, again, she hated it, right? Just from pictures. She comes up to me and she smiled. She said, I really like it. I said, the house? She said, yes. I said, the house we're standing in. She said, yeah, I really, because the thing is, the house is just, everything was, the rooms were all different colors and everything. And the funny thing is that, again, one of the rooms in the house is yellow. And it's the one God had told, yes. So,
yellow.
And so,
refreshing, sunrise.
Oh, come on now. And so she literally, like, just the same way that her heart posture had changed about moving to a new city, just as quickly as that happened, that's how quickly everything changed when we were in the house. And she walked around it, and she's like, yeah, I like it. And I said, we were like those couples on HGTV, the ones that are like one person, the husband will like want to fix her upper so he could be a man and show what he could do in the house. And the wife is like, well, I want something moving ready, nice and clean. And so that's how my daughter and I were. And we were like going back and forth. And I was like, well, we could paint. I could see this. I could see that. And at first she's like, no. But once we got in the house and she was looking around, and when she gave me that okay, and I'm looking at that yellow room, I was like, okay, Lord. And so I said, well, I went ahead and right then and there we applied for it.
You didn't get
And
denied before you pulled out the paperwork?
girl, before so as we're standing there, I'm asking him how much it's gonna cost to move in. And he was thinking I wanted to move in at a different month. I was like, no, I want to move in now. And so he pulls out his calculator, and as he's calculating the deposit and everything, when he turned his phone around, the amount on his calculator was the amount that God deposited into my account.
Girl, you about to make me run. I don't know who out there. I can't see you, but I just want you to run and shout. Everybody say, as a matter of fact, in the messages, I just need everybody to shout hallelujah. Because that's the highest praise. Because he gonna give you what you need. You ain't have to go ask for it. He dropped it in your, and you used it for what you need to use it for. Because that's another thing.
Look, that's the thing. That's the thing, because again, I was off work for 2 weeks with no pay. There were so many things that I could have did, and it's summertime. I was trying to have some fun, but no, it was literally the exact amount that God put in my account. And
I'm gonna type hallelujah. I want y'all to type
okay.
hallelujah in the chat.
And it's the amazing thing is, we're talking about, because like sometimes a testimony doesn't come with just one. There's layers to it. So the day that we moved in, now we all know June 19th is Juneteenth. But June 19th was the 5-year anniversary of when they removed that 7-centimeter tumor out of me.
Say that again.
June 19th was the 5-year anniversary. And
that's
here's
that
the
grace.
thing. Here's the thing. When there's a cancer diagnosis, they throw out the number 5 all the time. Oh, well, if you're still around in 5 years, if this is like, they always like, when you make it to 5 years in the cancer world, like that's a big thing. But a lot of people, like, you don't consider, like, what about God though? I always say God has the final say so. But getting to that 5-year mark, because in 2019, I was always wondering, I was like, I'm gonna make it to 2024. I'm gonna make it to see. Like I never doubted it, but they try and put that down in you when you don't do things their way, because they're trying to get me to do chemo and radiation then, and I said no. And so then they're like, well, here's the numbers, here's the statistics. Okay, don't look at me as a statistic. I'm a child of God. So the fact that we moved in on June 19th, that had so much meaning.
You got a fresh start on June 19th.
Yeah.
All I can say, I want to just take a minute right there. Like, that really got me, because I know it's like a lot of people that's really going through some stuff. And it just seemed like you got to take your mindset off of every time I turn around, something bad happens, right? You can't think like that. You got to, because he's still blessing you in spite of what they say. Don't repeat what they say. You see what she told y'all? That they was upset because she chose not to take chemo. But her faith and your faith ain't the same. Because when you stand on God, that's insanity. Her answer to those doctors was straight insanity. Because they say insanity by definition is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, I'm going to stand on God every time. So if that makes me insane, then so be it. We're going to stand insane together. Because God is constantly showing us his miracles, his grace, his wonders, the marvelous works of his hand. But we keep rejecting it because we keep looking at life and all the negative things that can come with it.
Come on now.
But we got to stand, like, in the midst of all of that, because what she did not tell, like what she didn't tell y'all is that she had an event that I was speaking at, and like right before the event, the septic tank at the house she was staying in at the lake, so they trying to build on that. Then the doctors tell her that they see like 2 more spots or something like that, but they didn't want to acknowledge the spots that had went away. They didn't want to acknowledge that, so she had to discover that on her own. So in the midst of the miracles, stuff can still happen. It does not exempt life from stopping. Like me going through this process, and it doesn't stop life. You just learn how to get a different mindset. when you step into that faith, that insanity kind of faith, that regardless of what you said, I'm still gonna stand on what God said. And he brought her back full circle because I love numbers. So 5 represents that grace. And he said, I don't want you to keep questioning if you're gonna make it to year 5. Not only are you in year 5, but you're gonna do it in a new home, not the home where you
Come
remember
on.
the abuse, not the home where you remember the neglect. See, God will move you, he will sustain you so he can move you to that next place. You just got to be ready and release it. She had to release the damaged thing that had been holding her content, but she had to be willing to let it go because she needed her fresh start in a new place. It's hard to heal in a damaged area.
And what was it that I've been saying? I think I had told you this. You can't heal in the same place you got sick.
Nope.
Because here I am on a whole different path of healing. Again, healing the mind, the body, the soul, everything. And you can't heal in the same place you got sick. And I
Nope.
believe wholeheartedly that the move was not only to increase my faith, but he's doing something. Clearly, God is doing something. And he needed me in a new place to do it. He had to. And the thing is, just like Elijah, God told Elijah where to go during the drought, right? So he could sustain him. And he sustained him in the most oddest ways. He sustained him first with the ravens. Now, are ravens friendly birds? Are they the ones that
And
usually
they
stay?
like dirty birds. They call them dirty birds.
Exactly. So here he was fed by the ravens. He was by the brook, so he had water. And then when his time was up there, God moved him to the widow woman's house. Now this woman was getting ready to make one last cake for her and her son. They were gonna die. But then here came the man of God, and what happened? They were all sustained. They were all taken care of.
And it didn't shift because he was in that mountain and the raven was feeding him and God was sustaining him. It did not shift his position from being a man to God. Because sometimes I think people start to question their position with God when life start hitting you, when it's time
Yeah.
for you to go through that stuff. And now you say, I'm your man to God, I'm your woman to God. Have you ever read the Bible with what his men and women of God went
What
through?
they
Because
went through.
clearly you ain't never read the Bible, because you can't say you serve Jesus and be like, God, look, I'm your man, you chose me. He chose his son, and his son got beat down and died for all of us. So for you to assume that you're not going to get hit with
Mm,
life, and you're going to have to learn to stop rebuking the adversary for everything that does not look like what you want it to look like, and
yeah.
stop complaining while he's sustaining. Like
Oh,
some of you are in that situation where he is sustaining you. Be humble enough and be grateful enough. Start practicing gratitude, right?
yep.
Because miracles don't look like how we want them to look. Like I think about the
Mhm.
woman with the issue of blood. Okay, she had that thing for 12 long years. That was a strong ailment, right?
Yes.
She touched him. She touched the hem of his garment. And he didn't say nothing. She said she knew immediately that she
Mm.
was made whole. But some of you would have been right there with her talking about, girl, go to the doctor and make sure. The
Go
doctor
get
couldn't
checked.
help her. So why would I go back to you? You already told me it is finished. Ain't nothing you can do for me. Then the man at the pool of Bethesda, bro, was crippled all his life. He trying to get in this pool because that's what some of us at. That's so funny. Like I literally just heard that. Some of us trying to go where the fad is at. Well, they say if I go to this
Mm.
prophet, I'm gonna get it. Well, they say if I go to this service, I'm gonna get it. And
Let
some of
this one
y'all
touch
ain't
me.
getting it because you ain't supposed to get it. He wasn't supposed to get in that water. His miracle wasn't coming through that water, and nobody else's miracle actually was coming through that water, but that's a whole nother story.
No,
He had to
yep.
wait. Out of all those people that was there, only one man got touched. Only one was touched by Jesus himself. Some of you keep saying, well, everybody passing me by. That's because you looking for the miracle to come through something common. And God said, I'm coming
Looking for the
directly
miracle to
to
come
you.
through someone.
Thank you. Because you keep trying to attach it to what we want it to look like. I say this all the time. I didn't want my miracle to look like this. I wanted them to be like, they see the I get the MRI and they be like, girl, the
Oh,
tumor is gone. When they did the surgery, I wanted to be all the tumor. I needed all off. I didn't
Yeah.
want this.
Yeah.
I was not. I certainly was not expecting this. I housed 3 scars from
Mm.
my surgery. One right here, and one in my belly, which most people, nobody's ever seen outside of my husband, and I don't really talk about it. I just happened to notice it yesterday because they had to remove the fat. I mean, they could have gave me a tummy tuck. I wouldn't have said nothing
And
about that, but they had to remove the fat, some of the fat, and put it up here. So some of us are bearing scars that other people can't see because it's
let me
not for
tell you,
everybody to see it. But that's a reminder of the miracle.
what's interesting is you talk about scars. I Man, when I had the surgery in 2019, the scar, just one of the scars alone, it goes from um my sternum all the way to my pelvis.
Mm,
And for probably the first year, I would cry when I saw it because I got to see it every day, every single
mhm,
day. And
mhm.
even with having chemo in 2022, they had to put in a port. So I have scars here, you know. So though, but the thing is, it's not something that makes me sad anymore, you know. Like it's literally besides my whole life, the scars are a visible representation of what I
Of the miracle.
survived,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And you mentioned gratitude a few minutes ago, and I love that because this morning I was listening to Derek Prince, really old recording of Derek Prince, and he was saying that gratitude is what unlocks God's miracles.
Mm.
And he gave two. So I love that you said it. That was on time. He gave two examples in the Bible. One, when Jesus fed the multitude, and he had the fish and the loaves of bread. He said he didn't stand there and give this long, drawn out prayer. He thanked God. He looked up and he gave thanks, and then did
It
what
was.
they had to do. They fed
Mhm.
everyone. The second example he gave was when he raised Lazarus from the tomb. Again, no long, drawn out anything. He said, "Thank you, Lord, for always hearing me." And so what we have to do is we have to, and people always talk about attitude of gratitude, and it may sound cheesy, but really, what does the Bible say? Enter his gates with thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, yeah, and praise. And enter
And
his courts
so
with thanksgiving and praise. Yeah.
with the praise, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, that's what he wants from us. If we are grateful and show him the gratitude for all that he's done for us, imagine how much more he'll do knowing that he's going to get our gratitude and our praise in return. Because there's nothing else that we can give him, there's nothing else he wants. That's why there's a song by Brandon Lake called Gratitude. And it is my favorite song. And no matter how many times a day I listen to it, it brings me to tears. He literally says, I have nothing to give you except hallelujah. Because, like
And
you,
that's
what
the
did you say at
highest
the beginning?
praise.
It's the highest praise. And
Yes.
that's what he wants from us. So if we would really just stop looking at everything that's wrong in our lives and start focusing on what's right and not focus on what God hasn't done or what we perceive not to be done. If we just start focusing on what he has done. Did you wake up today? Did you open your eyes? Did you eat today? Is there a roof over your head? Whether you're in a home with one bathroom and seven people, you still woke up
We
and
in
you're
a
grateful.
home. We got a
Right.
bathroom with running water.
Exactly.
We eating.
Exactly. If you just thank God for what you have and what he's already done, it opens the floodgates for him to do so much more.
And you start beginning to get that spirit of expectancy, right? Because not just so he can do it, like now I'm in expectancy of him, right? Like the way the old people used to be, like, like our grandparents, they would see God move quickly. Even when you
Mm,
read the Bible, he moved, but it was because they learned how to release their own will. And so, like me, that's what I was struggling with, like my will. And it's just kind of like even the rest of my testimony is after we moved into the house, then God told me that I had to shut down my business. I had to close it. I could no longer charge nobody no money for no coaching. He told me I could not. and I'm gonna repeat this, prostitute his gift. He said I could not prostitute his gift. So I was like, I didn't feel like that's what I was doing. And this is the funny thing. If y'all know me, y'all know I wouldn't charge people what I should have been charging them in the first place, right? But I sat there and I literally had, this was a Saturday. I was driving to Sprout, and I said, "Okay, God, whatever you tell me to do." Then he said, because he is God, and
Mm.
don't manipulate your decision. Don't manipulate how you gonna do this. Release it for real. So if you go on Google right now and look up ACCF, Anderson Coaching and Consulting Firm, you will see that it's closed permanently, right?
Oh, Jesus.
Now, when I tell y'all how God lined all this stuff up, like I'm trying not to cry because I want y'all to be encouraged. God will tell you to do some insane stuff so He can
Mm.
do some insane stuff, like some insane stuff, right? He will
Yep.
tell you to do something so insane to others that when He come in and do what He want to do, that's gonna look insane. So I shut my business down. I literally go on Sunbiz and shut it down. I shut it down on Google, and I was like, okay, God, I've done it. Now, before He told me to do that, God had already slapped a contract in my life that didn't have nothing to do with coaching, right? They just wanted me to manage certain things that they were doing, and they said, as a manager, I didn't put no price on nothing. I didn't have a price tag or nothing. I didn't even know what I was going to charge them. They emailed me back and said, we'll pay you half or whatever it is that we get because of what you're doing. So again, I didn't have
Half.
to set the price. I'm not prostituting myself or my gift. Right. So then there was this thing, this girl had sent me, this lady sent me a flyer and it was looking for speakers. And again, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. God done set this, literally God lined these two things up
Mm.
before I even heard him say, shut the business down. Then
Mm.
I say I'm interested in speaking. Then they come and they break down what the rate is to speak. I was like, wait, what? Like, and I didn't even have to ask for even the rate for assisting somebody to speak, right? So when I was sitting there contemplating on if I'm going to close it down permanently and why, God
Mm.
brought those two things back to my remembrance and
Yeah.
said, am I not providing for you now?
Oh, come
Am
on.
I
So
not taking
now,
care of your now?
how did it make
Just
you
trust
feel
me.
though? How did it
Trust
make you
me.
feel shutting down the business?
That was hard because it wasn't like I was trying, it wasn't the money. Because I interpreted him telling me to shut it down, meaning like I can't do it no more. When all he was saying was, you ain't charging nobody for this no more. When they call you and ask them to come, you're gonna go. If I
Mm.
tell you to go, go. See, but only people that live like that, and I just got this revelation and I'm about to cry, are
Come on.
ambassadors. See, when you are ambassador, you
Oh,
don't
come
worry
on.
about where you gonna eat, where you gonna sleep at, how much it's gonna cost. Did not they tell them to leave your purse at home? So
Yes.
it's like God is like literally shifting my now into like Samantha, I just got that. It was like
Yep.
you are an ambassador, and I used to say that, and I understood it then, but now to walk in it now and to see God doing exactly what He said He was gonna do, like y'all see me. I had got so excited. I got my office. I had to shut that. I had to literally, and that was before God told me to shut my business down. And I had to turn in the key and I had to do this. And then when I shut my business down, because I was literally gonna just pay to keep the mailbox.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
God said, shut it down. So
All
I
the
had to
way
turn in
down.
the key. I had to, and mind you, the girl went in with me, went in together. And I was feeling some type of way because I was like, I know God told me to do this, but He didn't tell me how long I was gonna be there. And
Mm.
that faith move was not just for me, it was for me and her.
Mm.
See, you got to realize that we'll go in and say, God, open this door for me to get this job. Maybe it's just a temporary move. Maybe it's just to
Absolutely.
see what you're going to get. Like if you're going to do it. And then you
Mm.
got to learn how to do what? Release it. He ain't
Release
have to
it.
fight me. I released it because
Because you know the key now.
the expectation, when I release, what will God would do? He release. Like
Mm. Oh, and we love when God releases.
all day, every day, Samantha, I get excited. So I'm sitting here now. My business is closed down. And guess what's been happening? I've been on the radio. I got
Yes,
a
and
speaking
all
event.
back to back, all within. Because when you told me, it was, you told me that month. No, you told me that weekend, and then to hold you accountable, you sent me a picture on Monday of
Yep.
you closing it.
But I had closed
Yep.
everything down.
And
And then
by
I was on the
Friday,
radio. I was on the radio. Literally. As a matter of fact, a couple of y'all called in. Thank you, Dr. Rose. I was on the radio. And then in August, I will be in Orlando because you coming there too, Samantha.
yep,
Orlando,
yep.
the event is free to come to. Y'all can come. And it's going to be a couple of speakers. It's going to be very powerful too. It's called Keep the Conversation Going. But I will be there in August, right? Again, nobody but God.
Nobody but
Nobody.
God.
This is a but God moment. Sometimes you got to release it. Don't play
Mhm.
tug of war with something that you feel like you earned. Oh, I worked hard for this position. Okay, let it go. I worked
And
hard
that's
to
the
get here.
thing, though, because there are things in our lives that we got ourselves, and we don't want to let it go, but we're trying to hold on to what we got ourselves instead of opening our hands up to what God has for us. And
And let it go.
if I've learned nothing at all over the past few years, I'd rather have what God has for me than what I can even get on my own.
Because again, what he given me, I could not get on my own. Like, do y'all understand that this lady said, and I quote, she texted me and she was like, Latisha, I love what you did. What if I pay you half of everything? Who does
Yeah.
that? What?
Nobody, because usually it's like 10%, maybe 20. 20 is pushing it.
And I was just like,
That's
wait,
God.
what? Like, speaking event, somebody just asked me what day, and I
August
got to find
17th,
the
right?
flyer. Do you have the
Uh,
flyer?
no, I just know that's August 17th because I've been telling everybody.
That's right. I'm so bad. It's August 17th, Looney. I'm gonna email. I'll send you the flyer because it's August 17th in Orlando. I'll send you the flyer. But yeah, and so again, it's learning how to release
Hmm.
so he can release. That is sitting with me. Like I really feel that. Like
That's
when you
good.
let
That's
go,
good.
he gonna let go of what he got. But because you
Yeah.
over here holding on to what you think you done got on your own, he holding on to what he know is way better for you.
It reminds me of that meme. I know you've seen it because it's all over social media forever. It's the little kid that's holding the teddy bear, and Jesus is standing there, and he's asking for the teddy bear, and she says, "But it's mine." And behind his back is this huge teddy bear that he's holding. So
Yes,
he always has something better. It's always, I always tell people, whether it's a house, a man, a job, a car, if that ain't it, it's either this or something better.
right.
God, it's either this, you think this is for you and it's from God, and if it's not that, it's always something better. Always.
Yeah, and saying that too with my husband, because again, he been like when I say he been releasing in the household, he been releasing in the household. So I think I told you Samantha, my husband, he's PRN, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
anybody who knows what that means you work when needed, and you're not getting no PTO. You ain't getting no vacation pay. You just work when they need you, and when you take off, you just take off. Well, like a week ago, they messaged my husband and they said we need to talk to you, and some kind of way, even though he's PRN and has been, he has accrued almost 2 hours worth of PTO, right?
Mm.
And so they're like, I mean, do you just want to go full time? Like, we don't even know like what we're gonna do in this situation. Would you like to go full time? So my husband like, let me think about it. So he thought about it a couple of days. We talked about it. So then he go back and they tell him, well, okay, if you decide to do full time, we can't give you all the hours. This is what the manager is saying. We can't give you all the hours. We're just going to give you like 16 of the hours, but we're going to get back with you after we talk to HR, right? Y'all, I'm about to shout, right? Can't even explain it. So my husband wakes up that morning. Now I didn't know this, but he said he was struggling himself, and so he was like, "I'm not gonna take it." He's like, "God, I'm not taking that for the 16 hours. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm just keep it like I am. I am content with what I have right now." The manager comes in and she said, "Well, Kevin, we can't do the 16 hours because HR told us it's all or nothing." And when he
Mm.
said that, Samantha, I said, "Oh, like I felt that quickening, like real quick." Cause see, that's God. When
Yeah.
God give you something, He gonna give it all to you. So He said,
Yep.
when He want you, He want all of it. He don't, either you gonna give him all or don't give him nothing. He said, I need you to be cold or hot. If you lukewarm, I have to spew you out, whatever decision you make. So God ain't giving you half of nothing, a little bit,
Nope.
sprinkling on you. It's
Nope.
all or nothing. So
And we were talking about that. Oh, go ahead.
they had to give him his 2 hours. So he was
You
accruing
mean two
time.
weeks? 2 weeks, not
2 weeks.
2 hours.
Yeah,
2 weeks.
his 2 weeks. He was accruing time where he was not supposed to be accruing time when he was not supposed to be. So again, no matter what man says, God always got something better. His math is not our math. I love God's math, right? He told Abraham, look, I'm going to multiply you. So Abraham thinking it's his son. And then he done decided, I'm going to go listen to Sarah. I'm going to go get another one. And then they had one. And God was like, bro, that ain't even it. I need you to look at the stars. Because that's what I'm talking about. Like, we need to just take his math and run with it.
And I like how you said it's all or nothing, because as we were talking, I think it was last night or so, I remember someone saying, if you are believing in God for something, if you're believing in God for even one thing, you got to believe everything then. You got to believe him for everything. How you going to separate it? You know, if God says you're healed, okay, then, and you believe him for that, then you got to believe him for everything else that he's promised.
The stolen Bible, we was talking about that. The disciplines, the disciples. Remember, he had just done the 2 fish and the 5 loaves. Then he did the 7 loaves. And then they had got on the boat. And then they was like, oh, Lord, we don't forgot the bread. What us going to do? And Jesus was like, did y'all not just, wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. Was there not 2 fish, 5 loaves? And they was like, yeah, it was. He said, what happened? And he said, how many baskets were left? Because nobody ever preached on the overflow. And they were like,
there was
5
leftover
baskets left. And then he said, when they did the 7, because it happened twice, when they did the 7, how many baskets were left? And I want to say it was 7 or it was 12. One of them was a higher number than what they had. And that's what you got to believe. You got to know that even if because they were given to others, there's no way you're going to give to others and God not provide for you in the abundance of it. And so,
you know, as we were talking, and it brings me back to what we were saying at the beginning, how you could see a miracle, but your heart be hardened.
Because that's what he asked me.
And so, and I had did this teaching over on TikTok, because I just be over there when it hits me, I'm like, I'm going straight to TikTok with this. But I was reading, and I used the Blue Letter Bible, because in it has a concordance, and it tells you what each word means. And so when they were getting afraid, when they were on the water right after Jesus fed on the people, and remember, I had even told you, like, hey, they passed out the food. They were a part of the miracle. But yet when they got on that boat, and the waves and everything were whipping up, and I think it's in Matthew. It's in Matthew. And it says that their hearts were hardened. Mm-hmm. And so I went to the concordance to see exactly what hardened meant. And if I recall, it means that basically their hearts were sick. And they had forgotten, they were so messed up, like they were so fearful, they forgot the miracle that they took a part of.
Yeah. And that's the dangerous part. Like, because I ain't realized it's after 8 o'clock. My plan was that our goal was we was going to be here for an hour.
1 hour.
But God does what he want to do. And I just feel this. Like, what y'all got to understand is, I don't care if they come back and tell you the cancer has returned. I don't care if they come back and tell you you've been denied. I don't care if they come back and tell you there's nothing else we can do for you. You're going to have to believe God no matter what. Like, I'm still talking to you. They told me you're going to need a trachea. They told me you're going to have to go to in-house rehab. They told Samantha, oh, them spots that left, that probably wasn't cancer. Well, what are you treating?
Then what were you treating then? If they, because that's the thing. Because even when Lazarus, when they got word to Jesus that Lazarus had fallen ill, and he didn't rush, he said, the sickness is not unto death. It's for God's glory. And the thing is, it looked crazy, because Jesus, like, that's your homeboy. You're not going to go.
And God's urgency is not our urgency. Like, He like, oh, rest assured,
which is
all is
so
well.
frustrating.
Right.
It's like, Lord, don't you see us down here?
And you know what? It make most sense. What's that old song that they used to sing in the church? He may not come when you want him, but
But
he
he
always
always
on time. And that ain't never make sense to me. Because if
no.
you hear me saying I want you and I need you now, and these people say I gotta be gone in X amount of days, on X amount of hours. Oh, because remember that, Samantha? We was talking about that, and you was talking about this another testimony. You was talking about the rent money. And I was like, well, Samantha,
It's
we
not even
still
July yet.
I said we ain't even in that month yet. Like what?
But look, I told you I went into the book. I went back into Exodus because I really talked about them people really bad. Lord, I'm sorry. Because I have found myself um acting up like the Israelites, because here's the thing, and I chuckle as I read it now. And this is like, I don't know how many times I've read it, but I'm reading it with different eyes now. So as I'm in it, I think it was yesterday, and they got to the point where now they're out of Egypt. The Red Sea and swallowed up Pharaoh, everything, and now y'all thirsty. And you over here talking about why you just let us die in Egypt. Oh, you brought us here to die, Lord. First of all, we're that dramatic. We
Yep.
try not to act like it. We are definitely that dramatic. And then I got to the next part where whatever the issue was, and I think they were hungry. And so they're complaining. They're talking about how they had steak in Egypt. Okay, you were also in bondage.
And we always do that.
So because you knew where your provision was coming from, it didn't matter the situation that you were in. It didn't matter that you were being treated like animals. And now you saw everything that God brought you out of, and
And
now
you
you
still,
over here talking about, oh, you Moses, you didn't let
you
us
know
here to
what?
die.
You romancing the trauma. Like you
Oh,
literally are creating a stability in the trauma, because you know how you be like, why she's still with so and so, or why he's still there. They bonded and romance the trauma because that's what they know. And so
oh
you
yeah.
have to be careful that you don't romance your trauma. And in the midst of romance and trauma, reject God or his blessings or his miracles.
And that's
Because
exactly what was
we
happening.
can do that unintentionally. It's not like something, it's just that, okay, I mean, it wasn't that bad over there. Yes, it
Oh,
was. Yes, it was.
it was worse than that. It was, and y'all was really trying to get out of it. So yeah, it was that bad.
These
It was
jokers done killed
terrible.
y'all kids. Like, what do you mean it was not that bad? Where are you coming
But
from?
you
What are you
talking about,
talking
oh,
about?
at least we had steak. At least we knew where our food was coming from. At least. But you know what? That's why, again, it's another TikTok that I had made because I really been in the book of Exodus, and I was saying it's kind of like when God moves you someplace and it's brand new, because I had to step back and I had to look at myself, because again, we were in that spot for 8 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And when God moves you to a place and you're not sure where the provisions are coming from, or even just because it's new, you don't know what to expect. And I compared it to being in a relationship with someone. It's like, oh, the relationship, it wasn't that good, but at least I knew him. At least I knew this about him. I knew that. And then you're scared to get into a new relationship because you don't know what that one comes with.
Right.
You don't know that person's flaws yet. You don't know their nuances and all
Mm-hmm.
of that. You know? So that's really what it is. So even going into something new, it can be scary because you don't know what to expect.
Well, listen, y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. Our goal was really 7 to 8, like 1 hour, and it's only 7:13. But before we leave, and I'm gonna put it in the chat, I want y'all to study James 1, 3, and 4, right? Because this is something that Samantha has to recite. This is something I have to recite. Because when you're walking in the manifestations of God's miracle, you have to learn how to let patience have her perfect work, right? And remember that the trying, because that's what it say first, the trying of your faith worketh patience, right? So my faith was tried. I had to believe, like literally, Samantha is literally standing on God's word. These people done told her what they see. They done gave her their diagnosis, and she's standing on God and still receiving the miracles. and it's still manifesting in different areas in her life. And she's standing in a peace of God that surpasses all understanding. And the thing about miracles is that we not always standing in that. It ain't always like that. We're not always this calm. It's not always this easy, right? Or how we speak about it. But the thing that's honestly truthful is that no matter what I'm thinking or what's going on, because it's not here, you have to remember that don't be so quick to receive something and assume it's possessing you. Certain things are just oppression. They just pressing on you, right? So when I was like, I'm depressed, Lena, she's another life coach friend of mine. She was like, Tisha, I believe you're grieving. I had went through a whole lot in 2023, and I didn't give myself time to grieve. I was on the radio station and the lady came on there and she asked, and she was like, so for cancer survivors and they, you lost your hair and everything, like, how do you get back to you? The truth is you ain't gonna never get back to you.
Mm.
I'm never going back to old Tisha. I'm never going back to how she looked. I'm never going back to how, because that's she gone. You know what's that
Yep.
song say? The old me dead and gone? She
Mhm.
gone.
Yeah.
When the miracle manifested in my life, that Tisha was no longer needed. And again, I went through different stages in my life, right? Y'all know me. I was gonna tell y'all the racial ugly. So you know about the rape, the molestation, the abuse. You know about all that stuff. That stuff was piling up. But
It's a
she keeps
metamorphosis, though. It's a
But she,
metamorphosis.
again, there you go. It's like a caterpillar, right? It's a different view. You stay a caterpillar, you see everything from the ground. The caterpillar have to go and cocoon itself. Ain't nobody cocoon the caterpillar. The caterpillar cocoons itself. And when it comes out, see, that's the thing. Y'all want somebody to come and get you. If somebody take
Mm.
a caterpillar out and like touch it before time, it'll never fly.
Mm.
Can't nobody touch you. When it's time for you to come out and soar and
Come on.
change your view, I had already had a ground view a long time. Now it's time for me to soar. And that's the same thing with Samantha. So
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh, like it's so good. I'm so excited. And the thing is, I can't even see everybody comments. Like I have to look at it from a different view. So I'm trying to figure out what everybody's saying. So I promise y'all I wasn't ignoring y'all. Um,
Yeah, I should have been set up so I could read everything. I made sure that we were on everywhere, and once I
yeah.
saw that, I was zeroed in here. We gotta do better. Gotta do better next time.
But this is the thing. We are going to do these more often, and it's going to be called When Miracles Speak. So inbox either one of us, your testimonies, different things like
Yeah.
that, because this is something that people need, especially now. See, you
Yeah.
see a lot of things, but how many things are you really seeing that are of God?
Come on.
I see a lot, I hear a lot, but where is God?
And
I
that's
need
and
the
that's the
answer.
big thing. That's a big thing because so many people are they're taking credit for their own thing. I've seen people that have had cancer for many, many years and healed without chemo, radiation, without doctors and they take all the credit. They take all the credit. Oh, it was me. It was my higher self.
No, no, it was he that is in me, because greater is he that is in me. So
The world, okay?
it, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. So,
And that's another thing. People need to be in their word too, because if you're going through something, there's no way that you and I could get through anything that we've been through without being in our word
and that's something you got to eat daily. And when it's a
daily.
one scripture, don't be trying to go to the next. Like I've been on this, let patience have her perfect work since I was in the hospital last year, laying there, and I seen God wrapping from my feet up with the word of God.
Mm.
Just scripture, just rapping. I ain't know how to explain it. And the only out of all that rapping, all I got was let patience have her perfect work in its
Yeah.
entirety. See, that's the part people skip. You like let patience have her perfect work, yeah, but in its entirety, because then you'll want for nothing. So if I rush this, I'm gonna lack some stuff. But if I let patience do what she need to do, now me and patience, now we be arguing, now we be having arguments, okay? We do. I'll be like, girl, and she be like, shh, let me work. And I'm
Come on.
learning how to let patience have her perfect work in my life in its entirety. So I want for nothing. I want his complete and total healing. I don't want just half of
because
the healing.
because if you try to rush it and do it your way, not God's way, you try and rush it. That's why patience needs to have her perfect work, so you're not lacking anything.
Nope.
Because God needs to create us to be the people that He needs us to be in that when that time comes.
Right.
Because if he's it's like someone that's praying for a husband, and they feel like it's taking forever. If you're not letting patience have her perfect work, by the time the man comes, are you going to be able to be a good wife or a good husband for that person? Or are you going to get in it with all your funk and your hurt heart
Mhm.
and everything, and you just gonna ruin it anyway? And then
Yeah.
you're gonna blame God
Or the devil. Or the devil. Instead of just
or the
taking account
devil.
for
Yeah,
yourself.
like, oh, that wasn't. Oh no, the devil
Yep.
sent him.
Yeah.
No, so that's
It
why
was
we
you.
have to let God just let God do what He has to do in us. And we have to be in our word, and we have to, like you said, release so God can
Mhm.
release. And that
Like that.
also goes for the things that are hurting, also. Like
Mhm.
what I heard someone say, God can't heal what you don't reveal.
Right.
So you release all of it, just give it to God.
When you release the hurt, he can release the healing. Like you
Ooh.
gotta trust God with your hurt. See, some of us treat because we've been hurt. Again, y'all know I done been through a whole lot of stuff. I done been raped, molested, abused, violated, bullied. Like I've been in a lot of situations. But if I didn't trust God, right? If I didn't release the hurt, he could not release the healing. Because if you're still holding on to your hurt, you're gonna reject the healing. So,
Yeah.
in order for us to really establish where we're at in God, you got to get in your word. You got to stop running to everybody with a title and think they know what they're talking about and ask him. Say, God, what you saying? Reveal your truth to me, and he will do that. So I don't want to keep y'all. We don't been on. I ain't gonna be like the preachers and be like, we got one more closing. This is it, right? We is
That's
finished.
it.
So
That's it. Till
reach
next
out to
time.
Samantha or myself. Again, she is a cancer thriver and she is into naturalism, like the herbs and stuff, and she bakes candles. All right. One is we want to support each other, but it's also you want to learn
Absolutely.
what are some things like she's drinking some teas. And I know y'all know some people out there that's probably fighting cancer and different things like that. Again, I was blessed, it was benign. However, I lost my hearing, my feeling on this side of my face. So therefore, right? I'm still believing God, but it's so funny because as you mature in your miracle, like I'm not necessarily waiting or wanting Him to correct this. My main focus really is my hearing because I don't like saying huh, right? I don't like when people hug me on this side and they talking. I can't hear nothing. So I'm just like, well, give my hearing back. And it's a scripture in there where I want to say Jesus stuck his hand in somebody's ear, but don't get me the line. So it was just, it's one of them things where it's just like, I want that. So if you're going to pray for anything, because I know a lot of times people want to pay for the correction of those things that they feel are not pleasing to look at. But the thing that you don't really realize is that I can't hear on this side. So if you're going to pray for something, pray for that, right? And if you're going to call out Samantha's name in prayer, then we praying for complete and total healing. Complete and total. In spite of what they say, we standing on what God says that she is healed. By his
Mm-hmm.
stripes, she already been healed, right?
Already. It's done.
It
It's
is,
done.
and it is finished, and it is that. So we our plan is to do this at least once a week,
Yeah.
and it won't always be testimony. So it'll be like wisdom and different things. And we want to have guest speakers and stuff because again, with two or three are gathered in his name, right? He ain't gonna have no choice but to be in the midst. But I want miracles to begin to fall as we're
Yeah.
empowering and encouraging others. See, some of us believe somebody gotta touch you. I don't have
Mm.
to touch you. His
It come
word,
right through the screen.
his word. He sent forth his word and they were healed. He ain't touch everybody.
He never went to the centurion's house for the servant,
He sent forth his word
and
and they
that's
were
why
healed
everyone needs to be in the word to
all
know.
day. So we love y'all. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. To the 3 people that's still on here, thank y'all. We love you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you. Yeah, because now that I can see, like the numbers was going up, but like I can't
Yeah.
see all the messages. So I'm gonna go in there. My plan is to go in
Yeah.
the comments and say thank you. If you have any questions, if you want to be a guest, listen, me and Samantha be on
Yes.
my guest. Our plan is just an hour. Okay. From 7 to 8. That's our plan. However,
That's the
we already
plan.
know. Right. We already know how this go. And if any of y'all was ever with me on Latisha Live, you know, once we get it, we going. And we're gonna get into the routine, but I want God to do what it is that He wants to do. And I'm believing that everybody was on here tonight got something that they needed and that they wanted. So don't just be encouraged, but be empowered. We love you. We thank you all, and join us next week again for When Miracles Speak. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.